Hello humans, and thank you for coming again to the Sovereign Brainwash. Today I'm going to continue a series I'm doing about the logical fallacies. Logical fallacies are manipulations in conversation that make you wrong and the other party right. And on today's fallacy, I'm going to talk a little bit about the half-truth or cherry-picking fallacy. Even call it the framing effect, a cognitive bias. This framing fallacy will only use certain pieces of evidence to inform and or persuade the other party into accepting their position. Any evidence that might be negative or opposing this position that the other party is trying to persuade you into will be left out. And the stronger the evidence is withheld from the other party, the stronger the fallacy is. This framing fallacy is widely used in our everyday lives, and it's actually so prominent you might not even notice it's there. When we sit there and say the glass is half full or the glass is half empty, this is that kind of argument. See, when presented that this glass is half full, it's on a positive note. But when the glass is half empty, it's on a negative vote. And we as humans are obsessed with only looking at our benefits and not our losses. So to say, this is definitely a formal fallacy because it's not necessarily wrong or terrible for people to promote themselves, to sit there and hope the best. See, we write down resumes of all our listed skills, where we wouldn't necessarily write a resume about all our terrible skills and all our negative attributes. Society in general is hyper-focused on what we gain from things to the point where we see it in everyday life. And you can see it in today in all of the sports in general. We cannot lose. And people will get highly triggered and highly upset, and they will make it ruin their entire day if they feel like they have lost in any certain way. Most of the time you're going to choose a certain product that you buy simply for the benefits of what it's going to do for you versus the losses or what's it going to affect you in any way. You wouldn't want to necessarily buy a product or have this frame inversion where, let's say, a product would be advertising it's 25% fat versus advertising that it's 75% fat-free. An example is that simply the way we market things or advertise things will make a person want to purchase that item. Red Bull, for instance, was dubbed the worst soft drink ever before it began to be really popular. And the marketing aspect that changed this for Red Bull was that it turned into a functionable drink, meaning it had so much caffeine that it would give you wings to fly. And after that, it really gained a lot more popularity and it went to the roofs. As you can all see, Red Bull is huge. This kind of reframing a point is really useful in marketing. Now, say you have a $5 Starbucks card or coffee and you're trying to justify the $5 over maybe the 10 cents that would be at home. Now, they would sit there and say and show it on the media or in the advertising that all this hard work to get this coffee bean and handcrafted and divinely put together just for you here in this swanky service-based oriented coffee bar. Definitely persuades you, doesn't it? In the medical industry, this is highly recognizable because in the ads, they will only, a lot of the time, sit there and focus all on, oh, this drug's gonna give you this and this and this, and you can get your life back and all these things. And at the very end, a really quick, fast blurb, all the side effects. You're gonna be pissing out of your butt, and oh my gosh, don't forget all that heartburn, and oh, you might feel itchy on your skin, and you might get a lot of earwax or something crazy like that. But even though the ads sometimes and legally have to sit there and post that they have side effects, most of the humans don't really necessarily focus on the negative. They only want the fix, the benefit. What is going to do for me? That is a cognitive bias. A biases that isn't really serving humanity and or society in general. Also, we can see this in our voting system and our politicians. They're obviously going to promote all the things that they're going to do for society and talk about how, oh, we're going to do this for employment rates and la 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 la. They're not going to advertise how their backup plan or their side plan is actually going to adversely affect the unemployment rates. They're not going to talk about that. They're going to talk about what the humans, society, are going to be interested in. And therefore, they're not really sitting there telling everything or the truth out in hand on what they believe in. This is so prominent in society, and it's kind of crazy to think about because we as humans do this in our identity. Our identity is everything to us, and we have to put our best foot forward and look our best and be our best and be so achievable that it's not necessarily 100% always grasping. And it even, I want to say, perpetuates a negativity and even a downfall where people are getting more depressed than happy because they're not coming from a well-rounded space. It is so important to consider our actions from a broader, more ethical perspective and to understand all of the reasons and to have explanations to frame the real reason why we are doing certain actions. This also happens in bills that the government writes up. A lot of the time they'll have the highlight, the big sign of the title saying, "This is the reason why, it's for your safety. We're going to ban TikTok." But then they don't really talk about how they plan on really controlling free speech in general. And that's a big problem. So why don't they talk about that? They're just totally not talking about a gateway to a possibility to more tyrannical government. They wouldn't advertise that to the general public. What they want you to do is buy in and persuade you into thinking that this is a good idea, even though in the fine print, which you're likely not gonna read, because they bet on you being a dumb system, a reactive system, instead of an intelligent system where you use your sensors and your brain and you think and, decipher, make decisions and intuition and a control system. Your brain is your control system and your senses are your feelers, your sensors, right? So be an intelligent system. Read the fine print. Take the damn time that it takes to understand these bills that they're trying to pass. They bet on you not reading the fine print, and they frame it as such. This goes into the double binary fallacy, where they only give you this or that, either or options, not really concluding or giving you more of a well-rounded way to pick and choose what's actually correct for humanity and society in general. Manipulations to buy in to what they want, to move money around as they please and control the population because they benefit off of us not being aware. It's kind of an association frame where they kind of go to what people are mostly going to associate with and how they are going to see them in a certain light versus seeing them in a negative light and or seeing things as, no, I don't want to vote for that because that's a bad idea. So just to be aware of this fallacy and or cognitive bias in general is going to be so helpful if we as humanity, humans, society could just get on board, because the change starts when we all individually learn. All of us individually on the inside become aware, and therefore we are better together. Because the collective can squash and get rid of all the manipulations that are happening and are so prominent and given to us on a platter like it's the only choice. Like a comparative frame, where they will maybe paint a negative picture and or a positive picture and then let you decide on this or that based on your beliefs. This is also getting you to fight this or that, and or splitting a society in general, having us really not coincide into healthy win-win situations. So, be wise. Be wise to know that most advertising, most arguments, and even most people are going to be one-sided. They're going to be or have biases. Biases are just natural to us as humans because naturally we want what's best. However, there are ways to paint pictures and paint light into thinking or having other people think better of us through this kind of crazy insecurity and what I call an insecurity bubble, aka an identity crisis, where we have to only put our best foot forward. See, I believe that everyone out in society today is running around with insecurities. We are having a complete identity crisis on so many levels. Some people it affects more than others, but however, I do believe that the people that say that doesn't affect them has, because they're depressed and they're just like, I really feel down because everyone's so perfect around me. It's not healthy. It sucks. And it's just because it's so normal, we're blind to it. Blind as bats. And we're not even able to use our sonar. And we have this thing called ego. And that ego is going to defend it. It's going to defend it so hard. We see this in toxic, immature emotions all over the place. Coming from the professional business of the beauty industry, I have seen this through and through. Women will do anything and everything to make them look appeasable, even though underneath it all, they're a chaotic mess and they don't understand why. Or even when, so for men in general too, they might have to feel like they have to be more burly and more tough and more asshole-ish to show that they are tough and to, uphold this image, this light of this falsity. Just because, they might have an insecurity about something stupid and simple because they don't make enough money, or anybody can apply to that. Or this in general, that they don't look the way that the popular look is for certain people or for media in general. The media, the bought and paid for media, because it's only one entity controlling majority of the media out there, is going also and has painted so many different lights for so many different fear-mongering reasons. They get dopamine fixes and dopamine hits off of people being afraid, and then they get glued to the news station because they're scared. But that definitely has persuaded a lot of people. If you talk about how bad a storm is going to be on the media, even though technically this is maybe underneath it all a very atypical storm that would pass through. Or they like to paint light as far as what agenda the politicians want to be pursuing. Let's say a certain type of bill wants to be done by a certain type of party, and then they'll mimic and or push certain stories to get the society or people in general hyped up about it. When the story, if you did look into it a lot more in depth, it's really not that bad. And it's having the wider scale and not just that tiny little frame presented, which we all know media and marketing and so many different avenues of this is done in society, and it's just so very prominent. This fallacy is congruent with incomplete information, half-truths, stacking the deck, or card stacking, because it's definitely stacking only the bonus points to sell you instead of giving you a well-rounded view of the possibilities at hand. See, something that might look like something honest and true would be like admitting, hey, you know, we might get some kind of negative aspects from doing this certain thing, but it might actually have a turnaround and a benefit. And then just being authentic. Being authentic, true and true, no matter what. Accept your faults as well as your bonuses. And to move through that, to be whole, a whole person. And I believe that's the most amazing spiritual thing, if you're not spiritual, that you can do, is just to accept the things you're ashamed of, and to tell your truths. Because if you're just presenting it in only one certain light, it's actually kind of considered a lie. You're lying to yourself, you're lying to other people, and it just sucks. It's bleeding, destruction, and negativity all over the place. Negating negativity doesn't solve negativity. It only heightens it. And so, in the future, I just really want to help people become aware of how this is done in society. Our ability to frame and be bought into this perfectionism, that's not okay. And not okay means not healthy. Just because this is normal doesn't mean it's healthy. It's not helping, and it's time for us to become aware and do the things that would be curative to this problem. So in the future, consider all your actions, all the things around, consider all possibilities, and know that if you were aware and conscious of anything and everything that was available, you might have a different decision. So dig deeper, go down that rabbit hole and find the fine-tuned print. Go to the small print and read what it is, and or try to advocate to a different type of system for you as an individual, so that we can then ricochet or ripple out into the rest of the world. Because once you step into your authentic nature, that actually helps other people do the same. It's a field of residence, and what I like to call the flower of life. When you step into your purpose, and when you are being authentic, other people see that, and they're like, oh, that seems like so much better than what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to uphold this exhausting image that isn't true. And we all have to admit, we're tired. We're tired as flip right now, and it's time. I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely trying to do what I can to make a change. And that being said, I'm going to cut this out. Go ahead and do the like, share, and whatever else it is that this program of media does, because that's the only ripple we have. And educate yourself. Educate yourself and teach your children, because our children are our future. Our children are so important. They are our light, they are our future, and we really need to find a better way to treat them and educate them so that we can do a better future. Bless you all. Have a great day, evening, night, wherever you are, morning. Bless.